Hello and welcome to our video series on innovation and differentiation led by insight. In 6 brief episodes, you will learn to see what others don't, develop insights to create competitive edge and first mover advantage in B2B sales, and strengthen your ability to shape a blue ocean go-to-market strategy. You'll get to explore the foremost thinking on creativity and become more confident also in yourself as a creative person. In our first episode of Insight Discovery, we studied the mechanism of asymmetric knowledge development in order to create great ideas. For the second episode, I promised you an example using the tool. This episode is called PractiseSerendipity. As it is often easier to recognize something with hindsight, we'll look at an historic example of an insight discovery. This will help you understand the asymmetric knowledge circles better, so you can apply it to future problem solving. There are basically 2 ways of doing things. That goes for life in general, as it goes for exploring insights. You can either decide exactly what you want to do and make a list on a piece of paper and do it precisely like that. This is rabbit's way. At the end, everyone says, "Well done, rabbit, clever rabbit." Or you can have a rough idea of what you want, hope to set off in the right direction, and probably end up with something quite different. Then you realize it isn't such a bad thing after all. That is Winnie the Pooh's way, and that's how some great insight discoveries were done. Sometimes in life you never quite know what you're looking for until you find it. Take Christopher Columbus, for example. He was seeking a new sea route to Asia when he discovered the New World. He thought he had reached India, which is why he called the natives he found there Indians. When you travel, you should do so in a serendipitous frame of mind. The faculty of making unexpected and delightful discoveries by accident is called serendipity. It's a happy word, and it comes from an old Persian story, The 3 Princes of Serendip, which is an Asian name for Ceylon, nowadays Sri Lanka. The 3 princes were travelers, making unexpected discoveries of things they were not in quest of. Serendipity goes against the grain of narrow focused thinking. It invites you to have a wide span of attention and a broad range of interests. Broad enough to notice something of significance, even though it's apparently irrelevant or useless to you at present. Being over-organized is inimical to creativity. A creative thinker needs to be adventurous, open-minded, like a resourceful explorer. Let's replicate the asymmetric knowledge circles with the story of Columbus. The right circle, A, represents conventional thinking at the end of the 15th century. Now you need to know many things were changing in Europe. The overland trade routes to Asia were being controlled by the Turkish Empire. And as a result, Spain and Portugal decided to find out if there was a sea route to India by sailing around the coast of Africa. Vasco da Gama set out from Lisbon, sailed around the Cape of Good Hope, they called it like that because they were hopeful of finding a passageway to India, and reached the west coast of India. Now that pretty much sums up the why, how and what of the time. But does it really? What could have been the deeper beliefs, or maybe misconceptions, that influenced people's decisions and actions at the time? How did Simon Sinek's golden circle look for them? The earth is flat. There is nothing when you sail westward. Sea monsters hide in the open ocean. And anyway, coastal navigation provides much more options for shelter. Now, to fend off pirates, one must rely on heavily armed, large vessels, but unfortunately those ships can only sail downward with the prevailing winds, and then back when the trade winds turn. That's why they're called trade winds. Like the other navigators, Columbus also wanted to sail to the Far East. But he thought differently. Left circle B. That if he sailed west, he would go around to reach India. He presented his plan to the King of Portugal, who rejected the idea. When Columbus, though, met with Queen Isabella of Spain, their golden circles connected and intersected. both dismissed as common nonsense that the earth would be flat. Instead, they believed in Pythagoras' theory, 6th century before Christ, mind you, that the earth is spherical. And so Columbus was given 3 ships, the Niña, the Pinta and the Santa Maria, and a crew of 90 men, and set off west. Still, they too made a false assumption. They expected nothing but open water westward. Instead of reaching India, however, Columbus discovered an unknown mass of land in between, land that the Europeans knew nothing of. This inside discovery was purely by serendipity. Columbus and Spain merely seized the opportunity they were prepared for and executed a blue ocean shift, the exploration of the New World. In order to develop great insights, we cannot always count on the proverbial apple to fall from the tree. So we need to understand the process and the mechanism of asymmetric thinking purposefully and make insight discovery scalable in an economically viable manner. In the next episode, we will apply the tool to a new problem-solving situation with foresight rather than hindsight. Stay tuned for part 3.